Mother Funny Time with Andie and Angie.
2 cousins, 8 kids, 1 grandkid, 2 states.
And a whole lot of fun. Woo! Welcome back, Mother Funny Tribe. We're back to talk about allergies. This is your non-board certified, non-doctor professionals on all things allergies.
Non-FDA approved.
Non-FDA approved. Angie and Andie here to talk allergies with you and food intolerance. I think we should throw that in there because milk, different intolerances, you might not have like an allergy, but your body might not react well to it. And this is what I want to start off saying with food issues. I feel like food issues, because people can't see it, right? Unless you go into shock while you're eating it. For some reason, people don't believe that this person has an allergy to whatever. Now, I have an allergy to oats, and so I don't drink oat milk. I don't go into anaphylaxis. I just get very sick, and then I get a little itchy, blah, blah, blah. My heart races.
Did you
Not
say
big
your
deal.
heart races when you have oats?
Races? Yeah, my heart, yes.
Oats are in everything.
And then I feel nauseous.
So many healthy products.
I know.
Oats is like in the first top 3 ingredients.
And here's the thing. Oats is nowhere. You know how they have the list of all the top allergies that they put on packages? Oats is never on there. It feels made up. I feel like it's made up, but it's true. I have it. The allergist has confirmed it years ago, and my body has confirmed it. But thankfully, nobody ever questions me oh, she's just making that up, because I think it's so random. But I know people who have other allergies that others don't take seriously, and you just have to take people's allergies seriously. That's my tip or trick. It doesn't matter if you believe them or not. It's better to believe them, because what happens is people don't believe you, think it's funny, try to sneak something off. I know I have friends who are baristas, and a lady had a severe, what was it? I think it was a milk allergy. And the baristas thought she was just they just didn't like her, whatever. The girl gave her regular milk.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She lived, but the ambulance kind of thing, and she got fired. But that's the thing. It's serious, and you got to take it seriously.
I think the more people are learning about food allergies and the more prevalent food allergies are, the more tolerant people are of food allergies. 100%. Growing up, I don't even know if I knew one person who had a peanut allergy, honestly. But now so many kids have a peanut allergy or a nut allergy. And so that, I think, has been a huge blessing. But I swear, if someone intentionally gave Brooklyn something that she's allergic to, this mama bear would come raging. You couldn't hold me back. I'd be afraid for that other person.
Yeah, I would too.
Don't even try.
It's true. And the lengths that you have to go through if your child has, say, a peanut allergy or celiac. I was just on a trip with my friend whose daughter is celiac, and she can't even have a wheat product or gluten product cross-contaminate another thing that she's eating. So when she travels, she brings her own toaster. This child has their own toaster. When we go out to eat, there's more, there's a discussion that has to be had. It's a lot. It's a lot. And you think of all the times kids go to birthday parties and there's always cake. I know my friend who also has a daughter, my other friend who has a daughter with celiac, she just shows up to parties with her own cupcakes, gluten-free cupcakes. And her daughter's older now and knows what she can and can't eat, but it's something that the mom is always having to think about is, okay, what do I need to bring? What are they going to be eating? What's at this party? And you have to be that mom that's hey, what's the menu? Or you just bring your own food and just see what happens.
That's what we used to do when Brooklyn was younger. And I would just tell whoever the host was, or just tell the mom, like, hey, I'm going to bring Brooklyn's own food. Because it was so much, and there were so many unknowns, I didn't want to put that stress on another mom because it was so specific. And I always did try to bring a special like treat for her, or at the time it was like Rice Krispie treats. That girl used to eat a lot of Rice Krispie treats because we weren't sure, but that one was safe. You know, it was like, it's gluten-free, it's nut-free, sure. There's not that cross-contamination like you're worried about. And it is so much preparation because you can't just show up at a party and drop your kid off. Like, I literally would go to the parties, I would have to stay, which was fine. I got to meet the family and see what was going on, but just monitoring it because I didn't know what extra food Brooklyn would be around, or if food would touch other things, or what would happen. So there were so many unknowns and there was so much uncertainty that I just, as the mom, had to be there. So it was like, okay, if she gets invited to this birthday party, we knew, like, as a mom, I'm blocking out this part of my day. Plus I have to go grocery shopping beforehand to make sure that I buy what she needs on top of buying them a birthday present. And it was something I was willing to do because with Brooklyn specifically, because she has such extensive allergies and her body is continuing to heal, and she's not allergic to as many things now as she was in the past. And we have more answers than we did in the past. And it's something that when you are a mom of a child with food allergies, you don't want to talk about it too much in front of your child, because what they will say, or the professionals will say, is children with food allergies can end up feeling guilty because they see how their mom has to go above and beyond to make sure the food is healthy, or they see how their dad has to go above and beyond. Or now, like, anytime Brooklyn does go to a birthday party, the mom will actually text message me every single item that Brooklyn will be exposed to or that she will eat, and I have to read all the ingredients because before Brooklyn eats anything, I have to check the ingredients, or Ryan has to check the ingredients. And so now, though, Brooklyn can eat the food for the most part. And now moms and friends have been fantastic because they just will intentionally not have certain food at the party. That way it's extra safe for Brookie. But we really try to not talk about too much that we're doing, like that us as moms are texting back and forth or checking or rechecking or try to have this or not that, because I specifically, but I know other moms too, don't want Brooklyn to ever feel bad that we have to go above and beyond to make sure it's a safe environment. And that's what can happen is kids can internalize it and they start feeling bad. It's not their fault they have food allergies. Like, a child can just have food allergies.
They should be punished. No, just kidding. How dare they? It's a discipline issue. They will their hives.
Okay, true story. There has, in all the years, I mean, Brookie's almost 12. In all the years, so many people have been so supportive, so understanding, so kind, helped us out in so many ways. There was even one mom who, instead of having cake at a birthday party, she gave everybody Rice Krispie treats. That way Brooklyn could have the exact same dessert as all of the other kids at the party. Because at the time, like I said, Brooklyn had a different treat. And that mom was like, no, I do not want Brooklyn to have a different treat. I want her to be able to eat every single thing everyone at the party can. And everyone at the party did eat. And that was just so touching and so nice. But there was one mom, and it's just so interesting because it sticks out, who was like, she said, you know, no one ever talks about those of us who have to, like, change what we're eating when we're around a child who has food allergies. And she said that to me.
Does she need a support group?
And I looked at her and I was like, what? Like, my child can't eat a ton of stuff, and I'm trying to give her, like, as normal a childhood as possible. Like, that was what Ryan and I were determined to do. Like, we wanted her to have a typical childhood, or to have a childhood that was as normal as possible. And this mom was like, what about me? I don't get to have peanuts when I'm around your daughter.
Well, you're all okay. We just won't be around each other anymore. She sounds like a joy to be around.
I get where you stand. But besides that one person. I think that's why it stands out, because that was such not a typical response. Everybody else is like, we want this environment to be safe for Brookie. We want to make sure it's okay for her to be here. What can we do to help you? And as a mom who has a child with food allergies, like that means so much to me that people, one, are inviting my daughter to a party. Because I did have there was another mom who was like, we'd love for Brooklyn to come over, but we have peanut butter in the house, so she can't. And I was like, well, she can. She's not going to like touch the.
I'm like, she's come to my house. Funny. We would just put our peanut.
So
that's hilarious. I mean,
I think just some people don't know what to say. And like, that's the off comment. Do you know what I mean? For the most part.
Yeah. It's the exception, not the rule of.
Yes, 100%. But I'm going to tell you what, Disney got it right, regardless of how
they do.
What your opinion is on Disney, because I know Disney can be controversial. But this is years ago when I wanted to buy Brooklyn one of their sugar cookies at Disneyland. And so I went to, waited in line. I got to the register and I just said, hey, I just need to check the ingredients. I need to make sure that there's no peanut products in the sugar cookie. And this lady said, okay, please wait. And she literally came with a book, like it was in a binder, and it listed every single ingredient. And she goes, here you go. You can read this and let me know. And Disney was the first place that ever did this. We're talking at least 10 years ago. Wow. They're ahead of their time.
Yeah, they were on it. So we went to Disney not too long ago with our friend whose child had celiac. And whenever we made reservations for a restaurant or we go in, you would mark a box that said food allergy and what it was. And then they would come in and they would talk to you and go over things and have it was a whole plan. Like it was almost like your little IEP for eating your lunch there. And I'm like, this is fantastic, because I think when people started having like gluten allergies and these peanut allergies, like most of the population didn't understand. And we were like, what are you talking about? We've eaten bread and peanuts for years. And now all of you guys, blah, blah, blah. But I don't want to get into the controversy on maybe why, because honestly, I have no idea why. I know there's different reasons out there. But the truth, it's happening. And kids are getting really sick. And for a parent like you and a parent like my other friends who've dealt with celiac, and I have friends who have nut allergies and seed allergies, like the journey you get to getting that diagnosis and figuring out how you're going to help your child live is a rough journey. It's hospitals, it's doctor's offices, it's scary things happening, it's throats closing, it's, all these things happening when they're little. Maybe with my friends, it was like constant stomach problems. It was hospital stays. There's all these things that happen that lead you to where you are, where your child's now 10 or whatever. I know Brookie's almost 12, but going to a party and to have a mom say that, like, what about me? You're like, okay, well, this has been a whole journey here. We didn't just decide. I think she gets the sniffles if she's around peanut butter, so nobody can have peanuts. Or like you get in a plane, and I love when they announce like, hey, we have a peanut allergy, because I'm not always mindful of that. And we like to bring trail mix and we'll snack on it, not even thinking. But if they announce it, then we can put it away and make sure we don't. Even though there was one time that Chris wasn't paying attention. They're like, somebody on this plane has a peanut allergy, and Chris started eating nuts. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, what? I'm like, they announced it. He's like, oh. So, I mean, those are serious. Some people are so sensitive that just breathing air near somebody who's eating a peanut can go in anaphylactic shock. So, yeah, it's a whole journey out there.
I'm glad that you're saying that, and especially for moms, because we really are the ones researching, taking our kids to specialists, taking her to the pediatrician, try this medication, how does it work, try that one, see what happens. And I remember this was a couple years ago, and we received some really bad news. Like, it was just super sad, really hard day. We were so sad, and we were like in Arizona. We weren't even in California at the time. I mean, this was years ago. And we were staying with some friends anyway. And the person we were staying with said, hey, I can make toast for Brookie. Can she have this type? And he just kind of like lifted up the package and it was that Oro wheat brand. I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. Because I was like so upset and so sad about the news that we'd gotten. And so he made her toast and she ate it. And I was the one who said, yes, she could. And she broke out with hives. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I went and checked the bread. And it was, she can have whole wheat and this was whole grain. So it's same brand, just different type. And I was like, oh my gosh, we had to give her the Benadryl. And she was fine. It was an allergic reaction, but it wasn't too severe. And then once she was fine, she was sleeping, everything was okay. Ryan and I went for a walk. And I just remember saying like, I can't even have a hard day. Like as the mom, I am so sad and so distraught over this news that we got, but I still have to be hyper vigilant. And at a time when I was so down, it was a quick like, oh yeah, Oro wheat, sure, that's fine. Because Oro wheat, the brand was, if it's whole wheat. But whole grain she's allergic to. And so it's one of those things like moms don't get a break. Like you're thinking about this, especially when it's a severe allergy, 100% of the time, especially when they're younger. Because they're like toddlers and who knows what they're putting in their mouth. They're walking around. They're like, what are you doing?
Right?
I mean, you just don't know where she'd have an allergic reaction. We're like, what did she just eat? You know, because you're at the park. And that was one time Brooklyn like walking around as a toddler. She sees something on the ground and she eats it. And then we realized what it was. And we're like, I don't know if she's allergic to this, okay? It was a piece of fruit. We didn't bring the fruit, okay? It was just fruit. So she has an allergic reaction. We give her Benadryl. But I had to like pick up the fruit. And I was like, I do not want to put this fruit. That was someone else's fruit that has been on the ground.
It has their like saliva on it.
And so my friend and I were like looking at it and holding it and like smelling it because she and I both were like, we don't want to taste this unknown fruit that she just had.
Sucking on it.
Exactly. Like that's gross. But that's how little toddlers and kids are. Like they would just, oh, look at this. And they would just eat something.
Girl, what is she allergic to?
So especially when they're young. So I think part of what we're trying to say is for those moms who have kids with food allergies, whether it's minor or major, because sometimes moms will be like, oh, well, it's not that bad of an allergy. Yeah, but it's still an allergy and you still have to be hyper vigilant. Like don't downplay the stress that you're under. And this is so funny. I was looking through some things.
What about me with my oat allergy?
Or if you are a mom with an oat allergy, and I'm sorry you cannot have all the healthy food. I mean, there's a lot of like bars.
I can't have whole grain.
And there's a lot of protein bars you probably can't have.
I can have whole wheat. No, yeah,
you can't. I mean, that's a lot of food that you can't have, and that's a lot of kids who are walking around going, I can't have this, I can't have that. Whether sometimes maybe it works in their benefit. Like, oh, shucks. Can't have that healthy food. But you do have to be on all the time. But to know like, hey, you're not alone. It's okay. And one thing that really helped us with Brooklyn was explaining what was going on to her body when she was having an allergic reaction, more so like walking her through the process, like I mentioned, but also like what is an allergic reaction? You know, and explaining what her body was doing as she got older and kind of the biology behind that and why does Benadryl work or why do you take antihistamines? And so it's good for kids to know and to be aware of, and they can understand, I think, way more than we give them credit for. But one thing I've noticed is the more that kids understand and know, the more that they're more comfortable with it, because it takes away the unknown can be scary. Or even for their friends, like Brooklyn can explain it. So she understands it and then she explains it. Or her school has always said, like, Brooklyn's an amazing advocate. I'm like, she is, because she understands it so well. And then she explains it to her friends. And then everybody just moves on. You know, it's not a weird thing. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. And kids can move on. I think kids move on so much faster and easier than even adults do it sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like you mentioned, I think people are, you know, as they're becoming more educated and kids are becoming more educated, they're nicer for the most part. And they're more willing to look out for one another instead of just not believing or not caring. So, yeah, but mamas out there with kids with allergies, we see you, we hear you, we know that you are doing extra in your life and having to worry even more, especially if it's like a really scary allergy. And even if it's not, always having to be on top of that and not being around your child all the time, like, you're doing a good job. We appreciate you.
100%.
Yeah.
Good job.
If you have any questions for Angie.
Or Andy, if you want to talk about
You can ask me about my oats or hives. I can talk about oats and
Or
hives.
swollen hands.
Swollen hands. Okay, I also have an amoxicillin allergy, and apparently I have a whatever this medication allergy is. Apparently I've got a new one.
Did you know you can get allergy tested for antibiotics and for medications?
Okay, so I don't know all about it, but with the little bit I read last night, I was like, okay, it's been like 10 years since I've had hives. How's this work? They were saying you have to like go in the hospital and do that whole, they give you the antibiotic and then they're there to treat you if you have a reaction.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like
that is exactly what they do.
I don't feel like, I know I have a friend whose daughter is like allergic to seeds, like really. In fact, she's the one I accidentally gave chicken nuggets that had flaxseed in them and I didn't know. And she had to get EpiPenned. They're so chill about it. They're like the most chill EpiPenners. Like, yeah. And if you EpiPen, you have to go to the hospital, just for all those moms who might not know that.
Explain it. It's EpiPen, Benadryl, call 911. That's the process.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Do it. Do it all.
I do want to say for moms, helpful tip or trick, just know what mild allergy symptoms are and know what severe allergy symptoms are. Only because maybe it's your child who doesn't have a severe allergy, but like Andie's talking about, maybe it's a friend that's over or a different, you're in a different environment and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that they're allergic to this plant.
Yeah.
And now this is happening. And it's just good to have that understanding of like, okay, facial swelling. Well, that's a severe allergy symptom.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Like us, share us, DM us with all of your oat allergy questions.
Yeah, we'll answer the mom realistic way. If you really have medical questions, seek professional help.
All right. Yes. Yeah. Call 911. All right. We'll talk to you later. Woo! Bye. All right. That's all we have time for today. We got to wrap it up, unfortunately. But just remember, you might think you're doing just okay, but we think you're doing really great.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. We hope you have a great Mother Funny day. Please like and share our podcast.
But please don't tell our moms.